We are done with bridge number 1, but you may want to commit to memory how the trusses are put together here. But we'll close this, and if you click no for saving changes, that would be great. We don't need to save the changes. Double click on bridge 2. And here we have our completely new bridge with a much different situation than the last one. We have 2 piers this time that are supporting 2 joints at the bottom. Now these 2 bottom joints are fixed, which is kind of helpful, whereas these ones up at the top, they're floating. So a floating joint needs to have more support than a fixed joint. A fixed joint could have 1 member attached to it, but a floating joint needs at least 3. So we can start by making some joints. So if I make one there, I can then switch to my member tool and connect up my joints. You start by clicking on the first joint and dragging the line down to the second joint, like so. If we think back to the tongue depressor exercise, if I was to make this kind of shape with 4 tongue depressors, would it be stable? No. This one would move around, and this one would move around, and so would that one. So we need to have at least 3 members attached to it. So if I do that, that's got 3 members, that's got 3 members, and those, because they don't move, means that this one won't move. So that one actually doesn't need 3, if we think about it, because we've got a cross piece in there. However, because we know we're going to connect other ones, it will have at least 3, and that's fine. Now we can do a shortcut across the top here. We can actually draw one big line, because we know those all have to be connected. That's a given. We can also, if you wish, build above the bridge. All you have to do is put your joint up there. And just remember that you need to make sure that it's going to be supported properly with at least 3 members. Now you may be tempted at some point to draw a really long member, and you'll get this warning. It means it's too slender. So what we can do is a couple of things. We could select it and make it larger until the warning goes away. Or if we want it to keep the same size, because you'll notice that as we increase the size of the member, look at the price of our bridge. It keeps going up and up and up. And remember, we want to be efficient, which means the least expensive bridge possible. Why don't we erase this? However, though, the last size that we chose is the one that will get made if we draw again. So we'll continue to have this thick size. If we wanted to go back to our thin size, we'd have to find out what that is, 140, and now that we've clicked on it, our next one should be 140. So remember, if we do a long one, it'll be too slender, so you can put another joint in between so that we don't get our slender warning, and we can connect these up. Recall that when we make a truss, we want them to be symmetrical. What I've done so far here is not symmetrical. If I was to go with this design, I'd want to make sure whatever I do on this side of the bridge, I do on the other side. And these blue guidelines will help us do that. So horizontally, I've got it lined up, and vertically, it was in between the first and second joints at the top there. This other one's under the third one, so if I count over, I would put one there, and I would put one up here, and do the same connections. As long as you make things symmetrical, even though these trusses aren't symmetrical, you'll go a long way to helping the stability of your bridge. Now I'll let you continue on to make your bridge. You don't need to do anything that I did here. This was just an example. So if you've done this, I suggest you start over or erase them all. And you can erase things quickly by clicking on the joint, and that'll get rid of the members that were connected to it. There we go. So we'll just get rid of all those. And you can start fresh with your own design, thinking about efficiency, stability, symmetry. When you think you've got a bridge that's going to work, click on the Load Test button. Of course, mine isn't ready, and if you get this message, even when you think yours is ready, it means there's a problem somewhere. And we've got some examples that tell you what's going on or what could be going on. So your truss may be unstable. We're missing a cross piece. If you click on the next button here, it'll show you what's happening to the bridge. Click next again, it'll show you the solution, what you need to do. And when you click next again, it goes back to the beginning. So you can try exploring these examples to see if there's any part of your bridge that looks the same, and if you can figure out how to fix it. Once you've done that, try the load test. So keep trying until you get a working bridge. You may be able to make a bridge that stands up on its own, but doesn't support the load, our truck. So if that's the case, just like with bridge 1, come back to the drawing board, find the member that needs to be fixed, and make it bigger. Once your bridge is working, and you got the green status symbol up here, then you can watch the second movie for bridge 2.